Hi everyone, welcome to the FYB Rugby Round Table, the last one of the series, and this is actually take two with my good friend Alex Mead from the Rugby Journal. We actually recorded this last week, but my pesky kids decided to ruin it all, so we're back. We've decided we're going to re-record. Alex, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Yep, really good. Got our latest issue off to print at the weekend. It was a mammoth week and a really big issue, so it was good, and just enjoying this little moment before the mag comes out next week. So it should be printed. It's literally printed yesterday, so we get our office copies like on Monday, and then it gets mailed out to everyone. So it will start hitting, and that's the most exciting time when you see the first person who posts a picture of it. And this one is awesome, so I'm really, like, the cover's amazing. I'm so excited about it.
Well, we were just talking about off air about the demographic that has already pre-purchased this. Do you want to tell us how and why?
It's a good issue. Like, we got Lewis Rees-Zammit, and he was a really nice guy. We shot him in Cardiff. I used to live in Cardiff, and so my rugby connections are back there, really. And we shot him in this local brewery. And he's just such a nice local lad, and he still goes home for tea, every day. He's just so close to his family. Even when he talks, he's got this brilliant. And it was the same when we did Marcus Smith, because we did his first proper sit down as well. They've got this, I don't want to say innocence because that sounds patronising, but there's just an honesty about it. When you asked his favourite player, it was like Nadolo because he's massive, which is exactly what all of us think. And the player he'd least like to play was Nadolo because he's massive. And his favourite player was Atkinson in Gloucester, who was a good player, but it's his mates. He's so close to Gloucester. And that's when I feel like this Welsh rule will come in. I'm going completely off tangent. But he might be forced to go back to play in Wales, which is such a shame, because that Gloucester side, listening to him talk, they're so close. There's such a nucleus of lads of a certain age who went through Hartpury. About 8 players from his year at Hartpury signed for Gloucester, I think. And they're so tight. And it was such a shame for him to have to leave to go back to Wales when Gloucester and Hartpury built him. It's such a shame. But yeah, anyway, even just when he put the cover up for us yesterday, which is this illustration, because
should we show?
Yeah, show the cover. Yeah, that's great.
So if you haven't seen this already, this is just incredible.
So I had this, he's just like a modern, he's like a superhero. And I had this idea, what a comic book story, listening to what he's achieved. And he's fast, he's cool, he runs lines, he does all the exciting stuff. And he's this real down to earth lad. And he's got a cool name, Zammit, that's cool. It's a superhero. So I already had this idea of this picture book thing. And we spoke to our illustrator. And I wanted something typographical, and he had this idea of him running off the page to the back page as the lion. And the funny thing is we had all this planned for months, but the Lions were announced on, can't remember what day of the week it was, but that was
Wednesday, wasn't it? Or Wednesday or Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, so this was the day after. So we're all like, please, we all knew that he had to be in, but when you suddenly have doubts and someone says, oh, well, maybe, Gatland didn't really know him, so maybe. And I said, he's got to be in. And he was. But yeah, he's good. And we got Saracens in the next issue. 7,500 words we did on that, because we wanted to do. I wanted to do a story on them in the Championship, and I went and said, look, I basically want to speak to Lucy Ray, Mara Toje, Mark McCall, Jackson Ray. That was my 4 ones, because I figured, look, we've got the hero, the icon, we've got the guy who's the club guy who's been there forever. You've got Lucy Ray, obviously, and Mark McCall, and we had all of them, and we spoke to all of them. We got loads of time. They were really open. Mark McCall was brilliant. Like, Lucy was very honest about what they went through. Mark McCall, just the stuff he's done. Like, they did a virtual matchup with the Crusaders. I mean, it's so cool, and we've got it all in the
How does that work?
Well, they set up a Zoom thing, and they said, right, we're going to play the Crusaders. They've got a link, they've got links with Melbourne Storm as well, and they kind of buddy up with them, and they've been doing that for years. But Melbourne Storm obviously went through the salary cap thing as well.
Yeah.
And so actually they've been really close to those head coaches that have helped them on the psychological, whatever your opinion of it, the players and the coaches, it's a hell of a time for them. And seeing what he did to try to keep them together was just quite inspirational. And the day we were there as well, in the weeks, we spent the week talking to them, and then we were there at the Amtil game. Just seeing the fans back was amazing. And, you know, seeing Alex come back, and, you know, they had all their side. And, like, you know, you want to see those players in the Premiership. You want to see them back. I hope they get up. They were very keen to, like, they were so paranoid about talking to, look, Ealing are a good side. Ealing would staying in the Premiership. We're not. They were so worried about talking to me. They wanted to make it sound like, hey, we're back. But they were brilliant. And the Crusaders thing was, they set up how they would play against Saracens, and Saracens did the same. And then they had a conversation, they got the 4 fly halves. So Richie Munga against Owen Farrell, and then Vunipola against, don't know what the second choice fly half is at Crusader, sorry. And they got Jamie George and one of the other young hookers, and all of those guys, and the attack coach from either side, defense coach, and had like a Zoom battle. I mean, brilliant, isn't it?
Oh,
Even when Saracens are playing in the Championship, they're preparing for Amtil. They're playing against Crusaders in like the ultimate fantasy rugby.
Well, that just shows the mindset of the best clubs in the world. You know, they want to do stuff that is totally outside the box, but it's completely different as well. And
if they don't go up, like, there's part of them that's going to enjoy being in the Championship. Like he said, the worst. Mark McCall was like, and even Jackson Ray was like, we're a bit disappointed we didn't get to do the thing. It's like we were totally up for like these long, you know, Saracens were known for their socials, and the fact that they were going to do a really big deal of the bus trips. We're going to stay in the bar afterwards, and like, it sounded like they're basically going to get pissed every Saturday night, you know, like
like normal rugby folk.
Well, that's what it is, and I think they're all really gutted they didn't get to do that, and obviously they want to go up now, and you know they're going to go up, and there's going to be, you know, they're going to be points to prove. There's been a lot of people, but I think generally COVID has been a bit of a leveler, and I mean, I'd still want to be fly on the wall in those Premiership owner meetings, but the reality is that everyone's had bigger problems to deal with. So I think that's probably helped kick things off. But yeah, no, there's lots in there. And Simi Pam, the Bristol Bears thing, we'd already spoke to her like about ages ago, and we'd done the shoot months ago, and then we spoke to her again after she was attacked recently. So we literally had that as well. So that story there is very raw. We got that in there. Exeter Chiefs women. We spent the last few months talking to their players. You know, their scrum half, Patricia, is like amazing. She goes to like South America in like poor villages and towns. She's in prisons coaching rugby on her own. There's like a little support team of a few people, but she literally goes to Chilean prisons coaching rugby because she started at 18 and loves it so much. Like, and it's great to see because, like, you know, like a lot of us, like, you know, I played as a kid and that lot, and you love it and you appreciate it now. You've had it taken away, but she discovered, and it's just shaped her whole life around it. And that Exeter Chiefs team have achieved so much this year in coming straight out of the blocks and beating your likes of Saracens and Harlequins and those guys straight away. And I just think they've done an amazing job. Alex King, we got the Romanian refugee who was playing against Scotland in the late 80s and legged it from the hotel to claim asylum. And then it all kicked off with Ceausescu when he went back, and 6 of the guys died as a part of the conflict, and it was just horrific. And then he ended up staying, and I think he was there's all sorts of stories around him, so we cover those because I think Sean Lenine was one of the guys who was supposed to have helped him, but like hide him with this sort of stuff. There's myths and stuff. I'm not saying that's true, but like there's lots of stories around him. Bay of Plenty, when 2004, when they were coached by Vern Cotter and Joe Schmid, that was their big break, and they won the Round Furley Shield. That's a good one. Nomads, who are the precursor to the Women's Barbarians, who were this great touring side. Lots of stories about lots of current female DORs doing things in McDonald's late at night on the piss. Very respectable ones, though, but I'll leave that to you. And our usual Russell Earnshaw pretending to be Warren Gatland and saying what he would do. Lots. And Apollo Perolini as well. And actually, the funny thing is the two features came about completely separately, because one of them was Israel against UAE, which was like obviously a key fixture a few months ago. It was the first time it had been between two organizations such as that, countries such as that. And but we'd done Israel before. We'd been to the kibbutz in Israel and how rugby had started that in a previous issue. So we started chatting to Apollo and why he went to UAE, because at the time he'd been in rugby league and had like smashed it as a coach, had all these offers on the table and decided to go to Dubai. And he's basically built rugby there, and he's been doing a great job. We talked to him about the 91, because he was like the guy who hospitalized 3 Welsh players. And then also in the same issue, again, came together separate, as Mark Ring, who was the Welsh and Cardiff and Ponty sort of fly half and centre. And actually he was the fly half in that game. And that ended his career. And there's like trolling in the 1990s is there. His story is amazing. And another one who's so passionate. Again, it was shot in Cardiff, and I chatted to him for like 3 hours. And every 10 minutes he was jumping up to coach me, like just saying, how would you hold the ball? How would you do this? And he was but it's just really passionate rugby people. So even if you don't like the teams or the players, there's lots of great guys in there as well. So yes, it's a really good issue. It's exciting to get it out and see what everyone thinks.
Excellent. Well, look, go and buy it for sure. My copy will arrive once it's being sent out to everybody. So look, how has the last 12 months been for you and the magazine?
Yeah, it's been interesting. We're an independent publisher. We basically fund this ourselves from the beginning. There's 3 of us, and it's a mixture of my passion for rugby, my colleagues' passion for print, and the thing is that you lose straight away stuff like the newsstand, because obviously WH Smith.
Sure.
Travel is the only thing that's really alive and kicking. The high street's not so great anymore anyway. So really you're in airports and train stations, and that disappeared. But that meant we refocused, and actually, I don't know, it's very difficult. I'm coming from a position, but our main job, Sporting Eric, which is the company, we're all about digital marketing. And so whilst I'm saying, yes, that's brilliant, come to us, that's awesome. But there's something nice about the print side now. And I think,
yes, it's tangible. You can hold it. You can feel it. You can put it on the table. You can,
and
you can feel it. It's like having that CD. It's having the vinyl, isn't it? You want to feel it rather than just having it in your ears. And
it's just the photography. Like we obviously ran the Rugby Photography of the Year competition last year. We've had to delay it because the exhibition, because it's going to be the winning entries are going to be at the World Rugby Museum. Because that's been closed. And people haven't been able to get pictures of rugby. We've had to delay the second year, but that's going to kick off soon. But you want those pictures to be in print, because you don't want it to, it's like, we have the problem. I don't know about you. You've got kids. We know you've got kids. I've heard your kids. But you forget to print stuff out sometimes, and they're all on your phone, and you want to see them. Even if you just printed it out. Make fridge magnets, and that's what I feel this photography should do. There's something nice about it. And we did a big story in Richmond ages ago, and I bumped into one of the guys who happened to read it 2 nights ago, and he was saying how much he loved it, because we'd done so much history, and it was 12 pages about his club, and it just captured it. People hold on to the collection on a shelf.
I'm a big collector of rugby programs, so it's having that. It's having that thing to remind you of where you were that day, or reading that story, seeing that photograph in the magazine. It's the same thing. I love having a CD. I'd much rather buy a CD or an LP than spend money on Spotify or Apple. It's just that is what that's my personal feeling.
We did I wanted this Lewis Reed Sandler thing. I wanted it to be a piece of art. I'll probably get the illustrator to sign some and we'll give them away. But my favorite cover, so apologies for all the other covers, was when we did a grassroots special, and actually our next issue was a grassroots special. So I'll come on to that. But was when we did the wheelie bin. And I basically
said, I love that.
We were going to all different shoots around the country, all different clubs, because, you know, most of our weekends are really at grassroots clubs, not at the Premiership. And we said, look, I want you to capture grassroots rugby, but I don't want rugby action in there. Not even a player. It does, you know, I want something, and I don't want another, sound bad because you'll see lots of people, I don't want another huddle. You know, we see lots of huddles, we see lots of grip shot. I said, I want something different. And at Chinner, they've got this wheelie bin that just says mud only. And that encapsulated it. So it was on the front cover. So you can still get it if you go to the Rugby Journal shop. And I just thought, that's it. That's the image. Because everyone's got that in their clubhouse. An old wheelie bin that's either used for ice baths or, you know, whatever it is, mud only scrawled across it. And I thought that just encapsulates our sport, you know.
Big time.
Playing muddy is so much fun. And you forget it, you know, like the little joys of rugby was running around. My son's 5 and we do like minis and just that joy of running around just because. Whereas now, you've got to stretch off for half an hour, put your right gear on, and they just run and get muddy. Like, that's what we're allowed to do for 80 minutes. We're allowed to be kids again and run around and get muddy and get involved in handbags and have squabbles and then have a laugh afterwards, which is exactly what children do. So
exactly. I feel the same. Like my 4-year-old boy does rugby tots, and just seeing the elation on his face when he's running down the track and he's waving his arms, but he's scoring tries, and it's just like that gives me more pleasure than stretching, warming up, putting boots on. It just I just see it from that, but I see it from the exact same perspective that you do. I just want to be free. Like, I can't wait to go and play again, to have that moment of joy and elation that our kids get when they're just running around. That is a massive, and that's a massive thing that I know I've missed over the last 15 months.
And it's like soft plays. It's like I've ordered, like, so. Well, we do work with Rhino. We do Rhinos a bit with Rhino on their marketing side. And because I've taken over as coach at my club, which is Southgate in North London. And I've ordered a load of stuff, and I'm so excited about all. It is soft play.
Yeah. That was the softy. My dad was our coach at the club I'm at now, Rachel Decker. He was the captain. He was the chief cook and bottle washer as well. So we had the pads in the shed. And we would get them out in the garden, and that was our soft play. That was my memories of jumping on the big Rhino tackle bags, the big tall cylinders. That is exactly feel the same way. The
kids love it, and even though the little ones aren't doing contact, we just bring the bags in we do Flora's lava assault courses. We do cross the river where they try to get across. The parents are throwing the balls at them. So I'm not sure if the development officers should be listening. And then we use the donut to roll across like an Indiana Jones thing.
Nice, yeah.
And it's just brilliant. But it's you know, that's kind of what it's about. It's that sort of fun. And I think everyone's missed that. And like, I think I personally, I've really enjoyed one of the reasons I've got back in coaching. I still run the vets, but my hamstring means I can't really play much, but I'll still play as much as I can for the vets. And but just being out there coaching the guys again has been amazing. And I think it's really important because depending if you say you're lucky or not, but we've been locked down with our families. You know, we're lucky that we're lucky. It doesn't always feel like it, but you know, I've got like
this has been a take 2 shows.
My daughter's 18 months and my son's like nearly 5, and I've been very grateful to have had the time, especially as my job before took a lot of travel, to have that with them. But other people haven't, and there's young lads in our team who are like in their 20s who are living on their own, all the stuff they can't do. The rugby club is so important to them, and like it has been for me in the past. I moved around a lot, but wherever I went, I played for probably like 15 different rugby clubs. Just because you look for the local rugby club and you know on a Saturday night you're sorted, which when you're on your own and you're single, that's really important. The Saturday night is the one night where you feel I don't know, you know what I mean? Because like the Friday night,
I know what you mean,
you might have Friday night, you might have work colleagues and stuff, but Saturday night, I think people on their own probably feel more alone than any time. And I think the rugby club's really important. And we've said we're just going to carry on training through, just to keep it going. And like I said, our next issue, we're going to be a grassroots special, and we want, we're after clubs to tell us their stories as well. But clubs need to work out, I think we've discussed before, but like what makes them special, and sell that to the rest of their area, because I'm from Devon, and the rugby clubs are the beating heart, and they're all linked to the town, not just people come and say our club's great. Our club's great. We've got sort of we've got this many kids, or we've got this many things, and that's not what it's about. It's not about having the biggest mini section or having this. It's about what it means to that community. And if you don't have those players, it's like, it could be, you look at Ebervale, where once upon a time that was a village of hundreds of people, and Steel came and transformed it to a town of 40,000. And you've got that all the way across the world, where it's linked. My hometown, they're called the Fishermen, it's all linked to the fishing industry. That's the stories people want to know about, and that's what we're interested in. We've done, we did a feature on Bourneville RSC and their links to Cadbury's. We've done stuff on Hartlepool and the docks, and it's as much about the area and the people as anything else. And and it's a really important time for rugby now. I think this summer is really, really important for us to gather our people once again, and
it's probably it's the ultimate summer, isn't it? And going back to sort of telling the stories of Bourneville and stuff like that. Like my club, Rakel Decker, is we've got a company name as our club, but the company actually hasn't been a company for 30 years almost. We're the only surviving part of that name and that brand. Some of it went to Vodafone, some of it went to other companies. And we've got, our story, Decca being the record label that famously turned down the Beatles in the early 60s and ended up signing the Rolling Stones. And
Decca is.
Yeah. So Rakel is Rakel was a radar, like a naval radar company, which merged with Decca, which was Decca was part of the Decca Records family. It merged together. Some of it became Vodafone, some of it went on to be other things. But we're the only surviving thing with that name. The original ground is gone. We play out of a university, but we train in a park, and we haven't had a clubhouse for 30 years, but and we haven't had a presence in our local area. But until this year, where we're going to put some effort into it and get back involved and show that we are still here, and that type of thing. I think as you said, it's the ultimate summer for rugby right now. We've got a Lions tour. So what does a summer look like for Southgate?
Well, we've got our AGM in a couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens there. But we've just said we're going to carry on through, and I'm trying to just mix it up. Like, I've been speaking to the local boxing club, spoken to the swimming club, saying, look, can the boys come down and do this? I don't want to make it hardcore. I don't want to make it. It's too long for pre-season. If you're carrying them through, bring different coaches, just carry on, making sure that I don't believe in training going on for hours. When you're just chatting on a field for 2 hours. I just think get the session done in like under an hour and a half, which takes in you're messing around, then go and have a beer and make that beer like a regular thing, because you might not want to do it, but somebody might want it, and I think that's the important thing. Our mini section, we're hopeful that it's going to be our first, that we've never had a mini section, and it's just the fact that my 3 or 4 of us had kids at the same time. That's been growing, and it was only went to our local park actually, because we used to be a bit hidden because our ground's like a cricket ground, and we're kind of behind the trees. We went to the local park and started training right next to where the football was, and people started to drift off because the football was really serious. There was no fun. You didn't hear any laughter, and we just, we're doing like, sort of tag bulldog, if you like, and we're getting the guys who are running across like a Braveheart start, when you've got Mel Gibson going up and down, and you're getting them to do this, and just all of our moves of all of our stretches are about, you know, superheroes, and half the stuff I try to actually integrate to the adults, because we're playing merit table rugby, you know. If it's, you want to win, it's nice to win, but it's not about the winning, because otherwise you can't be accessible. You know, we've got some very strong local people. We've got Saracens, original club around the corner, who are really strong as well. And, you know, you can play a high level very easily by going around the corner if you want to. So focus on other things. So I think trying to bring in other sports, just trying to keep everyone together and really get ourselves a bit more known in the community, making the most of the Lions. You know, I think the Lions has got a huge job this summer. I think they need to really find ways to engage the clubs, because that's going to be a gathering point for everyone. You know, I think having those tests, and you know, you've obviously got the games as well, but it's not quite the same. But you know, the Lions is the one sport that goes above and beyond, that transcends our sport a little bit. We don't have too many things to do that, or individuals. You know, we talk about the potential in some of these individuals like Lewis and that to transcend our sport, but you know, Maro Tojes, but there are individuals there that could really come to the fore, that, you know, could be, you know, seeing Lewis. You know, he's a big 6 foot something, but he's not a big lad. Right? But seeing him cut those lines through big South Africans, you know, seeing a Toje as like a leader on the field and just an inspiration everywhere. There's so many players there who could come to the fore. And we've got to be able to capture that. And, you know, as clubs, we should be trying to make the most of it, making big events around it as well. Hopefully the Lions will help us with whatever they put on the off the field, because, you know, we engage with them because of, like, everyone talks about 97 because of the Living with the Lions, because it was what we do, you know. Sort of the same relationships. It was
the transition between the amateur era and the professional era, wasn't it? It was that first tour that was, and it was captured on video, which helps, because that means that we can always fall back on it. Like, I'm not name dropping, but I was talking to Jim Telfer yesterday, and he said exactly that. He said if it wasn't for the video, the Lions would probably be dead.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that 97, that Living with the Lions in 97, it would probably be dead, because the brand wasn't going anywhere, but it needed a shot in the arm, and now that video lives forever. And now they try and replicate it every year or every time, and whilst it's probably a bit watered down, but it's created, the brand is now 10 times bigger because of what happened in 97, and the fact it was all.
And I think they have to bear that in mind, the importance of it, and I think there are a lot of pressures on, you know, we know rugby just likes to argue amongst itself, and there's too many, you know, everything gets squeezed, and, you know, whether it's the clubs versus country, and, you know, it is an amazing thing. It's fantasy rugby, but it is that off-field thing, because we see those people in our clubs, you know.
Yeah.
And the reality is none of those videos have been anywhere near as good as the Lions, and you hope that the Lions take the shackles off a bit, because we know it's a corporate beast, we know it makes a lot of money, and there's no fans at this time, so they've got to really play to the fans at home, and that's going to really come down to the content that they put out, you know, how they really open up in the same way that Eddie Jones did with the England videos. He's done a great
job. The stuff that they put out during the World Cup and over the Six Nations, and then the Red Roses did it, and I don't know if you've seen the Mission Impossible, the Sevens series that they've been putting out as well. Getting into those camps, I think that they're absolutely superb, because it gets a glimpse into the bubble, and let's face it, the Lions are going to be in a bubble. We want to see what goes on in that. How are they making it fun? We want to see Bobby do the Bobby Cup, and we want to see the dice like we saw with Zebo, and having to ring the head coach to tell him he wants to be the captain. We want to see all that, but hopefully the sort of corporate side of it will just be relaxed a little bit, because they're not going out, they're not doing all the corporate functions, they're going to be in a hotel room, they're going to be all together. So hopefully we will get to see some of that, and I think we need to. I definitely think we need to.
Yeah.
Do you think if the Lions hadn't gone ahead this year, then the brand would be dead. Because as you just said a minute ago, it's been squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And
look.
It's one of those things. It's a big question, but it's one of those things that gets.
It does, and I think the problem is that the game is not connected, and we see the debate about relegation and promotion, and I am 100%. You need to get relegated and promoted. I am 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Not, and the problem is we see people debate on Twitter, and you're like, and someone said yesterday, "Oh, it's good to have a balanced view." It's like, well, the reason there's not a balanced view is because everyone disagrees with it. All the journalists are paid to give their opinion, 90% of them, and I just think most of the clubs who've been down, when they've come back up, you've got ones that disappeared that shouldn't have gone up. London Welsh, there was some things that happened there that shouldn't have. But when you look at the overall thing, you want to say, well, surely it's better to build audiences in different places. You want, Coventry got 3,500 in National 1. Like, there's potential there. Cornish Pirates, we know what they can do. They've got a big backer. They're building a stadium. I personally want to see Cornish Pirates against Exeter Chiefs. That would be amazing because
it'd be huge. What a derby that would be.
Most of the fans in Devon probably would have supported whoever went up out of Plymouth, Cornish Pirates, and Exeter back in the day. Because our nearest club was Bath before then. You grew up. The whole of the southwest was Bath's feeder area. Cornish Pirates, you'd want to see. You feel like Doncaster. There's potential there, and what they should do is sit down with those clubs and say, okay, guys, show us your 5-year business plan to get into the Premiership.
Yeah.
Just have a couple, but they don't seem to talk. They just seem to let's shut off because maybe Exeter Chiefs don't want Cornish Pirates to go up because, well, actually there's a lot of Cornish people there. We've got an academy in Truro, so what happens there? There's there's lots of debates, but ultimately, and this 3-year thing, the problem is what clubs do in the Championship is they wait until they see sense blood, right, to invest in their squad. So if Leicester got relegated, they would not be saying, hey guys, let's pump tons of money into our squad because Leicester are too strong.
Yeah.
They got £20,000 or whatever there's no point. But if Worcester come down, they'd say maybe they would put money into the squad and build it. How would you get someone to invest in your team if they said, well, actually, why am I investing? Because there's no promotion. Oh yeah, but they said they're going to let us in 3 years. You think, would you believe that?
No, for sure.
You can't build a business plan on an objective that can't be achieved. If it's physical, and that's what the investor would see. They would say, well, okay, I could give you 10 million quid, but you can't guarantee to me that you can get promoted because not even because you can't build a good enough team, but because these guys might not let you. So the 3-year thing is a nonsense. I just think people need to talk and let's do a proper audit. Let's speak to everyone. Let's say, okay, how many clubs have we got? Like, in my view, I think Coventry, I think Cornish Pirates, we know Ealing are ambitious.
Jersey.
You've got Jersey, you've got Doncaster. There's lots of potential there. And why are there limitations anyway? Who's it for? Because if they were creating all these minimum standards in order to make the thing profitable, it's not bloody work, does it? Because only and Exeter's main sponsor is Southwest Comms, who's Tony Rowe's company. So you've got to
No, for sure. And you think when Northampton went down 15 years ago, the year after they won the league. Harlequins went down 2 years later, they win the league.
Harlequin, I know Mark Evans is like one of the big persons about against relegation, but he was with Harlequins at the time. But then I remember him being very vocal at the time when they were near the bottom, and I was just thinking, well, if your side wasn't there, then. But I just think all the models are being used. People keep saying everyone's comparing it to football. Nobody's comparing it to football. No. All of us, if we're comparing it to anyone, we're comparing it to France, and we're just saying that maybe the Championship hasn't been given the support. It's not just about giving a club X amount of money. It's showing them how to market. Has that product been marketed? Have you ever seen an amazing show reel from the Championship that just shows it so exciting, so sexy, kind of like what BT did recently with the Allianz Premier 15s. They did.
It was the showcase for that event that's going. Hopefully, they'll pick up next year.
You need active sponsors. You need active marketing where they can say, "This is what's exciting," and you want to build new audiences. And look at the towns that you've got. Why wouldn't you?
Well, I think the audiences is there though, aren't there? If you said that Coventry are getting 3,500 in the National One, there's demand there. There's already demand.
That's in a city where they've got wasps. You
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah.
but I think it's also being reasonable, it's also being sensible and saying, well, what does professionalism look like? What are the objectives? But do you know what? We can debate about it, because the problem is that CVC are bought in and you don't know what their plans are. And really long-winded way of answering your question about the Lions, CVC are the key to it all, because it's what they're thinking. You know, they've got so much control now. What are they going to do? And I brought this up when I chatted to Lucy Ray, and I think, you know, she thinks they've got some amazing ideas and they've done lots of great stuff, but everything's on hold because of COVID. So, you know, it's like anything. There are common sense solutions. Like, everyone wants a rugby channel. Yeah, of course, that makes total sense. We're all bored of having 25 packages, but if they have one rugby channel, then that's a monopoly, and therefore you don't get as much money. And eventually, great rugby channel, they're going to charge you 10 quid a month. I'll do that. Everyone will do that. But then eventually it gets tied up and goes up, and then you end up paying more because they've got to make the money back, and they're bringing all these things in. The Premiership wouldn't necessarily get as much money because there isn't a bidding war and all this sort of stuff. So there are easy solutions, but it's not about us fans, and it's about the organisations that are trying to make money off them. And, you know, that's going to be the issue with CVC.
So here's another question based sort of on that then. If Ealing win the two-legged playoff against Saracens to go into the Premiership, do they bring Saracens up anyway and turn it into a 14-team league or 13-team league or whatever it is?
Do they just, is it always the other way around? Do they just say to Ealing, this is how much it's going to cost you to come up, and make it 14-team and shut down? I think it's totally plausible that we're going to see a 14-team sort of Premiership anyway, because they just might bring both of them up and then shut the door, you know. And you know,
but is Ealing Ealing don't have the greatest fan base in the world, and I know that they would have to move to QPR, which I think is their plan if they go up. Is it sustainable for them to even come up?
Who knows? I mean, Ealing, they are very professionally run. They seem to be good at buying in people, the right sort of people. If they do the marketing right, you know, why not? You know,
but they're in a competitive area with London Irish, with a beautiful new stadium, fans buying tickets out the door. You've got Harlequins down the road, fans coming out their ears. Saracens not far.
Yeah.
Geographically,
yes, it's a challenge, but also London's a massive place, and actually where, you know, they are obviously pretty close to Brentford, where they are right now.
They'd be as far as I know, they would be moving to QPR if that is. But, or do they move? Or do they come to the Stoop and sort of share facilities with Harlequins? Or
I don't think that would work at all. I think they're going to have. They would. To be honest, I don't know what Ealing's plans are, but I certainly feel that they're professional. If they've got the right people, then, you know, that they've got an owner who's got deep pockets. I remember having a conversation with Dick Evans years ago, or Phil, something like the Cornish Pirates, and someone said, well, you know, after this has changed now, so this is not true now, but someone said, well, for 50 years after they're gone, we've still got the same funding, or however many years. And should you be thinking anyway, if they think they can sustain it for 5 years, then isn't that good enough for anyone? You know? Yeah. I don't think the rules. Why can't we have those clubs up at the top? You know, what if they've got whatever stadium they've got? If it can be sustainable for them. You know, we've had issues with other clubs that are up there at the moment that have never gone down, that might not be able to go back up because the criteria doesn't fit them.
Yeah.
So I think we whatever model we built for this sport doesn't work at the moment, and I certainly don't think relegation coming out of it is going to help it, because we can't see another rugby example. Like, Super Rugby died a death, and you know, we know everyone's opinion of the sort of the Pro 14. You know, very mixed reviews there as well, and well,
they've had to almost create their own two-league structure, haven't they? I know they play in conferences, but what they need to do is turn it into two divisions of the best, and the best play the best, and then they're fighting to play the best.
It made no sense to me when they did the Premiership Cup a few years ago when the Welsh left it. It's like, why did you not tie together the Championship? who doesn't want to they could have done it as a testing ground. If I was, I'd have said, what, let's get the Championship and the Premiership together, just so we can show how far ahead we are. Like, if I was being brutal, sure. Well, okay, you guys, you people who want relegation, you've wanted Cornish Pirates against Exeter. Let's put you on the same field and let's see what happens. And just do it. I'm being obviously, facetious there, but like, that's why didn't they? Every fan, who wanted to see the Premiership Cup? Nobody wanted to see their sides put a slightly different team out for a competition they didn't really care about. At least the Anglo-Welsh Club, there was a bit of interest. And who wouldn't want to see Bedford against Northampton, Cornish Pirates against, Wasps against Coventry, like, you've got these great games and you're denying it. And the reality is we haven't gone to a franchise model, so you can't relate it where there are too many ties. And it's very hard for rugby to switch. Look in Wales when, the whole debate over Cardiff and Blues has never, ever gone away. And even Mark Ring in our latest issue just says it was always so insane putting Cardiff and the Valleys together because there was always such animosity. And now they've gone back to Cardiff. So it's very difficult because ultimately, like so many things, it was all the decisions that were made so long ago, or decisions that weren't made, that has paved the way for where we are now. But it's in the lap of the CVC gods, unfortunately, and let's just hope that all of the groundswell of opinion against it, and having seen the Super League thing, they realise that's the problem, and not, the problem they realise the problem is more to do with how the product is marketed and promoted rather than relegation or promotion. Because whatever anyone says, that Newcastle result is synonymous. And yes, I know Newcastle had previously been destroyed, but they changed their side because they adapted. And you look at some of the Worcester fans on social media, and they're brilliant. They want relegation promotion because they've seen their side not bother.
Win something.
And yes, and like you said, Twitter's going around in circles. One result. This is why these games matter. Oh, but this one doesn't count. Only that result last week counts, not this week. So, the reality is, I think most fans want relegation and promotion. So that's why the argument is one-sided, because everyone believes that. So I just hope they do it, because I want to see Cornish Pirates against Exeter personally. That's I want to see Devon against Cornwall, because that would just be amazing. That's the dream. And that's what sport was about, isn't it? All those dreams.
Yes. Oh, well, look, do you know what? That's a perfect sort of sentence to end on, I think. Sport is about dreams. I really appreciate you giving up some more time to chat to me again. We ask everyone this, and this is sort of aimed at the grassroots side of the game, but give us one hope and one fear for the game in the next 12 months, or even just, to be honest, just the summer. What do you hope from the game over the summer?
I'm so excited about scrums. Scrums coming back, and because I've had forwards whinging at me on a weekly basis, and I miss it too. Like you miss it because that's the nitty gritty of it. And even as a back, you'll probably miss the space from it. And I just hope we are allowed to go back to proper grassroots rugby. And proper grassroots rugby, you don't get any more muddier than when you're in your mauls and your scrums and your driving line outs and things. I really hope the proper game returns, and I hope that clubs really take the opportunity with the Lions and think, like, break your seasons, go all the way through, be there and build something special, and try to get everyone else involved. Hopefully the Lions will give us something to piggyback on, and we can make up for what was potentially a lost generation of players, and retain them, and don't make it about winning anymore. Just make it about getting bums in seats, getting people in training, and having fun with friends again. So just hopeful for a season of grassroots rugby coming back with force, and some scrum time. Yeah, absolutely. Look, absolutely brilliant. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Go and buy the magazine. Go on to, just tell us where they can find the magazine. If you go to the Rugby Journal, rugbyjournal.com, you'll find us on all the channels, and you're going to subscribe, and it's £9 a quarter, and it's got about 80,000 words of beautifully written copy in a beautiful coffee table journal that is. We're trying to make the stories about everyone, you know. And if you're a grassroots rugby club that's got a great story, whether it's your history or whatever it is, you know, get in touch with us and share it, because like next issue is going to be a real celebration of grassroots rugby. So do get in touch and share your ideas with us. So thanks for your time.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's do that. You know, just even if you need to send me a message, I can pass it on to Alex. Yep. Definitely, just get in touch. Look, thank you everyone. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for listening for over the last sort of 10, almost 11 months that we've been doing this. I think we've up to 49 episodes. Thanks to Rugby Store for supporting us the whole way through. Thanks to the Swan Rooms at Staines more recently. Thanks to Canterbury. You've got to keep an eye out. We're doing 9 special episodes with the Lions Origins clubs, one on each match day. So you know there's still more stuff to come, and then we'll decide whether this makes sense to continue later on this summer. But I really appreciate everyone that's listened and sent messages and got involved. And yeah, so look after yourselves, and we'll see you down the road.
Cheers. Thanks, John.